Welcome back to Meteorology101. Thanks for hanging in there. So this video, we've got some storms coming through. I got a camera facing out the window, so we're gonna see what kind of storms we get. We're in close to Batavia, Ohio, and as right now, as you can see, the storms are approaching pretty quickly. So I just heard thunder for the first time. So thunderstorm officially starts, and looks like we do have this red cell pushing straight for us, so we should start getting some pretty good rainfall here in just a minute. So I'll go back and forth through the camera. I'll try to keep the camera adjusted to give us a good view of what's going on. Hopefully catch some lightning strikes with this thing too. So all right, we're gonna pull the charts real quick. Let's see what we got going on the surface. What weather systems are going through. So I'm downloading the latest data now. I'm gonna wait for this data to finish processing here. Alright, let's go, alright, that's finished now. No, it's not. Let's go back and, I'm going to do a cross-section on this radar. We're going to put up another radar real quick, too, and, do a cross-section on this thing, see what we got. Alright, so there we are. Got the latest base reflectivity downloaded now. We're going to download that loop. Then go look at some of these cells up close. Alright, so we have a cell out here by West Union. I'm up here in Batavia, so all this stuff is pretty much to the south of me. So let's my camera is facing south, so we should catch some of this stuff going by if anything's gonna be above those trees. So pretty much where I'm at. Like I said, everything's to the south. We might get hit with a little bit there, and then everything push it through Bethel. Moving on down, looks like nothing really severe. We do have a Hellmaker down in West Union. Let's go. We're going to stop the loop here, and we'll do a cross section on that thing, and try to break this down a little bit. So let's get across those higher reflectivities. So right there, pretty much all the way, well above 10,000 feet, we have the 50 dBz reflectivities. Even higher in the center of that. So this thing is a Hellmaker, not a real big Hellmaker, but it is significant reflectivity, shooting all the way up to 30,000 feet. So now let's do a volume scan. Now we got a pretty good cell buildup right here, so definitely going to make some hail. If we pull this up to look at the rotation, not a whole lot of rotation into that area, so probably not going to be severe just yet. Look for any base velocity, mostly horizontal. Nothing on the vertical velocity, no rotation there, so really still nothing significant except for the high reflectivities. We do have a little bit of an updraft, a little bit of a tilt to that storm, but not a super high reflectivities way up in the upper levels and creating any big major hail. So according to the radar, if we look at that, we're only about just under half an inch. So for it to be a severe storm, it's going to have to get up to about 1 inch to be considered severe. So let's get back to the camera here real quick. See where I'm at. On the radar, let's see. Let me stretch that out. And we're going to get rid of this radar. A little hard to see, but you can see some of the raindrops in front of the trees. A little bit dripping off the gutters there. That's running off pretty good. Overflowing the gutter right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can change the settings on this camera and get this zoomed in a little bit. Yeah, a little hard to see on that one, so maybe we'll catch some lightning on that in a little bit. Alright, so back to the radar. Let's go and play the loop here. Drag this screen over. Alright, so we got some pretty heavy rainfall, but might get a little bit of flooding. It's pretty good rain. I don't know how much flooding we'll get. I mean, we'll get the yards will get pretty wet around here, so we got some pretty good heavy rain coming through. We break down these cells, do cross sections to see how severe these things get. If we may hit a severe here or there. It's possible. Probably be a little more out east, but it looks like by the time this pushes through, which is a lot of it's kind of dying out actually as it goes through, so we're not going to see a whole lot here. So we need to go pull the surface chart and see what's in our area affecting all this stuff. So here's a current surface chart. So we have a low pressure to the northeast. Looks like frontal passes. Let's go look at the thermal advection. We are Bear Clinic, so we do have cold air advection out of the north. And that's pushing south through the Ohio Valley, but that's a pretty weak, pretty good thermal gradient, but a pretty weak pressure gradient. So we don't have a lot of strong winds with this. There is some pretty heavy rain though coming down right now. Let me try to keep that camera in the screen here. Let me get to the right screen. Let me get rid of that radar. Okay, so let me go copy this one. Alright, pretty bright for you guys probably to see that rain in that little window. we do have a pretty good rain coming down right now, and right near Batavia, Ohio. All this stuff's gonna move through within the next probably half hour to an hour, and then pretty much be gone. So really nothing severe to look at. Let's go with go back to the charts. Keep that in the screen. Trying to get a picture up here. Maybe we can draw on the screen a little bit and see what we got. I don't think I'm really prepared too much for that, so let's go with we do have IFR conditions, marginal VFR conditions over Indiana, pretty much clear over Ohio. So we're pretty much IFR right now with the rain coming down. Visibility's dropped, so we're probably less than a mile on the visibility. And all the lightning, I'm not hearing much thunder out there, so everything's pretty much pushing to the east and pretty much missing us. So I don't think there's a whole lot going on right now. Just heavy rain. That's all we're getting. Look at the, we'll go look at the current radar with the GPS. Here we are. Amelia. Had a pretty good cell go through. We're in this heavy stuff right now. We're right there in the, in that cell. Heard a couple things of thunder, but nothing significant. So that's pretty much it. No rotation. Let's go over to the other, back to the other radar, and let's see what we got for maybe do a cross section on this thing. See what cell we have there. Alright, so this is the cell that's near us right now. So if we do a volume scan on that, so you can see that, I mean, we're barely pushing 50 dBz's up to 10,000 feet, so nothing even severe there. I got the shaded lower reflectivities, just kind of a little bit cloudy through the upper levels, so that just shows you the indicator. It is reaching almost 30,000 feet, but the higher significant dBz's, 50 dBz or higher on the reflectivities, isn't quite reaching 10,000 feet, so we're not going to get to the severe level. Pull up the rotation, probably not going to see anything here. Just a couple little dots here and there, maybe, if you're lucky, right there. So really no significant rotation at all. Just heard some thunder. Nothing on the base velocity in the 3D scan. There's no rotation whatsoever through that. All of that is headed toward the radar. If we do a cross section on that cell, now we can see, like I said, we got 50 to 55 dBz up to about 9,200 feet. Nothing significant. I mean, you got a little bit of tilt to that, so you would have a little updraft there. I mean, nothing significant to be able to sustain any hail in the upper levels up above that freezing level to cause that hail to get big enough to fall and actually hit the ground. So I wouldn't expect any hail from this storm at all. So you can see everything just pretty much dying out as it approaches. We're right around here, Batavia, Amelia area. That's the cell. We're all to the north of this stuff. As you go all the way up to Springboro, some pretty heavy rain went through there. North of London, a cell. And then just pushing right out of the city of Columbus. It looked like that cell just developed right over the city. Probably from daytime heating, right over all the concrete, the buildings, and then just builds up right above the city, and then moves out and pushes to the east. So another cell over New Lexington that popped up, and that pushed out also. Anything to the south, Grayson, just southeast of Grayson. Pretty significant storm right down there. That was actually at one point creating some hail. And that shows 0.32 inches of hail indicated by radar. Further to the south, and you're down into eastern Kentucky. You get the orographic lift, and then start getting these pretty much scattered cells popping up over there. And there's another hail maker. Nothing significant. Let's go see what that one was. And that was 0.38 inches of hail indicated by radar there on eastern Kentucky. Alright, so we can pull radar over in Indiana. Now we got some warnings to the south from the southern tip of Illinois, right there in Tennessee. and further western Kentucky. Let's go download that loop, see what we got going on here. So right now we have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings, and we also have like about 6 flash flood warnings. And the flash flood warnings are from Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas. There's like 3 of them in Missouri, 5 of them in Missouri. 1 in Arkansas, 1 in Kansas. And then our severe thunderstorms, 3 of them are in Texas, 1 of them is in Tennessee. Actually, let me pull that up. We'll go to the one in Tennessee. That's where we're at now. Let's download this loop. So we got 3/4 inch hail over Union City, right there, southeast of Union City. So let's pull a cross section of that, see what we got. See, now we got pretty good, significant 55 dBz all the way up to about 60 dBz all the way up to 20,000 feet. So that storm's getting pretty vertical, reaching to right around see about 37,000 feet for the tops of this thing. I mean, they're calling it severe probably for the hail size. We'll have to see what the winds are. So we can go over to the other radar real quick and look at that. So we get back over to Tennessee. And on that radar, we can do a vertical wind profile. I don't think you could see that one. Let's see. Alright, so there you can. Alright, winds are veering with height just a little bit, and there is some, go to 20, 25, 30, 40, 35, 40. So nothing real severe in them upper levels, you know, getting up to about 40 knots, but they pretty much maintain out of the southwest. But we do get a little bit of veering at first there near the surface, so pretty significant there, but nothing significant enough to be considered severe for on the wind profile. The current warning is a severe weather statement, and this is radar indicated 60 mile per hour wind gusts, penny size hail. Let's go see what our base velocity looks like. Alright, looks like we got a little bit of rotation right there, so that red is going out away from the radar, the green's going toward the radar, so we do have a little bit of rotation in that area. Let's go look at that a little bit closer. To get over to the other radar, get you on the same page here. Alright, so the hail's 3/4 inch. We know we got rotation in this area. Let's go ahead and pull that volume scan again. And now we got a pretty significant tilt on that storm. 50 dBz almost all the way up to 30,000 feet there, so that is a pretty strong updraft. And then for rotation, now we got a whole wide area of rotation through that storm, so, and we could reach all the way up to about 30,000 feet for rotation there also. So that's pretty good little cell there. So they are right to be calling that one severe. You're starting to get that the little hooks looking shapes through there. So let's do a cross section across one of those. Right there, you got it's pretty significant, about 25,000 feet. So definitely need to keep an eye on that one. So that's pretty much 60 knot winds or 60 mile an hour wind gusts and penny size hail. That was radar indicated. That's the reason they're calling this thing severe. Basically because of the winds. They're not really even seeing the rotation yet. So let's get back to the charts real quick. So we got the low pressure to the northeast of Ohio. We got over the Great Lakes region. And then we have a low pressure system over Texas. And then it looks like a lot of warm air advection right there in the central plains. Winds are out of the south. They're reporting rain all the way down through there. Let me go pull a national radar real quick. Alright, here's a national radar loop. So we got, get where I can see this thing. Pretty much there's the storms in Ohio. Most of that stuff's to the south, northern Kentucky, all the way down through Kentucky and then to the east, southern. That's where that severe storm is, right there in northwest Tennessee. And then those cells are pushing all the way up into southern Illinois. And then we have that line from northern Indiana, pushing all the way down through Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and then all the way back into Texas. So if you look at the, we do have a couple warnings in Texas also. We need to go down there and look at those cells, break those down, see what we're working with down there. So let's go to back to the radar. Make sure we're on the same page here. Pull up one of these severe storms in Texas. Alright, so here are those isolated cells in Texas, and we're got some hail indicated by radar, just over 3/4 of an inch, just over 1/2 inch near Gale, and then 1 inch, 1.17 inches near west, just south of Westbrook or west of Spade. So let's do a breakdown on that cell right there. That's the most significant one. We have some pretty high dBZs there, about almost 65 dBz. Right there on the base reflectivity, so we do a cross section on that one. Now we're looking at real good tilt on that storm, so definitely in the rights to be calling that one severe. And there's 55 to 60 dBZs pushing all the way up to about just 18,500 feet, then 50 dBZs pushing all the way up to about 23,000 feet. So that's a pretty significant updraft with tilt, so definitely want to make some hail on that one. So we do the volume scan on that one. Now we're pushing the 50 dBZs up to 30,000, right around 27,000 feet where we were, and then you can see the tilt. And then if we look for rotation, we probably got rotation all through that storm. So pretty much cleared up through here in Amelia, Batavia area in Ohio. All that storm's pretty much pushed through. But yeah, there's some decent rotation here through this storm, so it's not too bad. Definitely does rate the severe warning. Like I said, we can pull up the other storms in Texas also. And get rid of that 3D scan here. Alright, so that's pretty much around this low pressure system. Any rotation around that, you got a easterly flow, southerly flow, and you definitely got that rotation right there in the central Texas. So take that low pressure system, move it over to the over to the east just a little bit. And then Ifr conditions, where the red dots are. Let me get you on the right screen here. Alright, so there's the Ifr conditions. Into Texas, take this. I would with this easterly flow, and then northeasterly flow, and become a southerly. Look at the rotation right there. I'd take that low and I'd move that closer to central Texas. So if we throw the fronts on here, we do have some thermal advection through here. So we have that cold air advection. Let's see. Pretty much, I would almost put that as a stationary front with the way these winds are opposing each other. And then going into the low, going into that trough, and then thermal advection, warm air advection as these winds are out of the south. And then behind that low pressure system, get some cold air advection. So stretch your cold front back down into Mexico through that trough. That's what I would do with that. And then this low pressure system to the north, let me get rid of some of this. It's getting a little cluttered. We got the thermal advection out of the north, but the winds are out of the east, out of the west. So we got one wind out of the east, one out of the west. So we're opposing right there. So I would bring this back maybe as a cold front with the low pressure system rotation, but that's pretty weak thermal advection. There's really not a lot going on there. It's a tight thermal gradient, but real weak thermal advection, if any. And then bring it out, basically just bring a stationary front out there, and then into this trough, and then into these opposing winds. You can see the winds out of the southwest and then the winds out of the southeast, and then bring that front right between those two down into this low pressure system. And then I would bring that up as a warm front, because you got the southerly flow down toward the south, just there in northeast Texas. And then so you got the warm air advection with the winds out of the south, and then you got the easterly flow to the north of the warm front, and then bringing that up to a stationary front into this low pressure system. So we're just kind of we got the lift, we got that stationary front. That looks like a little bit more to the north, but you got this rotation right here. It's not really rotation, but the wind shift right there. That's showing us that maybe it's a prefrontal trough. So that's our lift. That's what's causing all this weather we're getting right now, that trough moving through. So stationary front, prefrontal trough, you got all the lift, instability you need. Warm air advection, if any winds out of the south, like right there in Illinois, pushing that warm, moist air to the north, so that reduces visibility significantly. Now, if you want to go get a better look at that, we can go up one more layer. Depending on how well developed these systems are, what we're going to see up there. Let's go up to 5,000 feet and just check it out real quick. We'll just go build a chart, 850 millibar. And you can see pretty much we got a low ceiling out there around Amelia right now, but it's most of the rain's cleared up. Heard thunder 2-3 times. Nothing significant. Everything's just pretty much moved right on through. We got a pretty heavy rainfall for a little bit, and then it's all just sprinkling right now. So that's pretty much it for Ohio. If we get any severe stuff, typically around here it happens at night, so you have to do some chasing at night, which doesn't do you too much good. Alright, so we can see the moisture associated with about 5,000 feet. It's pretty much covering the whole central United States, and then we got that southerly flow. You're up to 40 knots in the south, and that's pretty significant. 50 knots right there over Texas. So, and then you got a northerly flow over western Texas, so we can definitely still see that rotation where that low pressure system was. So the charts they're closing the isobar, the upper level contours right here, just over northern Mexico. But if you look at your wind shift right through there, we definitely have at least a shortwave trough right in that area. I would say it's an upper level low associated with that low pressure system on the surface. I'd put them almost vertical though, and then we got a 50 knot wind out of the south. I mean, you're pushing warm moist air out of the south over eastern Texas. That's going to any of those storms that move over in that area, you get that exhaust from those stronger winds. You start getting that low level jet. You can definitely start pulling some severe storms out of that. So we do have the moisture, we do have the instability, we do have the lift. I mean, you have everything you need in to create a pretty severe situation in Texas. So we got these isolated cells right now over Texas. Let me get back to southern Texas, southwest Texas. We got the Bracketville. Pretty high reflectivities on the base reflectivity there also. I mean, we're definitely severe on these two storms also. We're pushing 68 dBz, almost 70 dBz, all the way up to 30,000 feet it looks like. So kind of got that storm a little bit elevated for those reflectivities. I don't see the higher reflectivities on the surface. Let's see here. Actually, I didn't want to do that one. I want to do a cross section over that storm. So that's just keeping it all the way to the upper levels. So let me go to base velocity. There's nothing coming up. All right, let's go to the upper levels. On the different tilts of the radar, we can just go up to through the different tilts, and we do most of that stuff's closer to the surface for the higher reflectivities. Once we get up on a 1.8 degree tilt, this stuff just pretty much goes away. 1.3 degrees, we got a significant looking cell, and then the higher reflectivity is at 0.8 degrees. So we're not, that radar tilt's not that much where it hits that. So let's go. Our radar's right there. That's not the radar that's live right now. Actually, let me get out of that. Hold on a second. Let's see where we're at. I find out. Usually it's got a red dot. There we are. KMAF up here to the north. That's the radar it's reaching out here. So it's probably why we're not picking up a lot of stuff toward the surface. Let's go back over here. Well, once we get closer to the radar, like this storm being over the radar, we're probably going to get some false readings around that also. But we should pick up this cell to the west just a little bit better with that radar. We can always go over here to EWX and see what we got out of that one. So this radar is picking up 1/2 inch hail, and then to the west 2.5 inch indicated by radar, and 1.25 or 1.15 inches of hail indicated by radar. That was just updated. The hail right there is now indicating over 3 inches, and we got a mesocyclone, so we're got rotation, we got everything showing up all over this radar. So let's go do a breakdown on this cell now. Do a 3D scan. Now that one's pretty significant. That's a very impressive storm. You got the tilt, you got lift all the way up to 40,000 feet, high reflectivities. I mean, you're cranking pretty good on that one. So that's showing up to 3-inch hail. Definitely got rotation. Let me pull that up again real quick. Let's go over to the rotation. And we got rotation pretty much all the way in through the upper levels, so we're doing pretty good on that storm. And then, if you look at these lines, let me get rid of that real quick. If you look at all these lines shooting through there out of that radar, you can see how that's a hollow right around this radar. So it's not, you're getting a lot of false readings on that cell. So we do have a massive cyclone there. We'll what to look at. But let's go to another radar and let's get a better look at this one. Let's go to EWX. Let's see what we got. Come on. It says San Antonio. Let's get this downloaded. For some reason, run a little bit slow. When you get these storms and get a lot of weather guys out there doing videos and pulling these radar, those servers will start running a little bit slow. Start lagging on downloading that data. It gets even worse when you're out in the field and you got dial up or got like a SIM card, you know, on your cellular data, and trying to download that first loop it takes a little while. So I was out running some tests on some mobile stuff this week and learned quite a bit, so I'm gonna have to definitely be prepared if we do any chasing. I got pretty much all the gear I need to chase, and along with the GPS on the radar, we can see where we're headed right for the storm. And but downloading that data on a cellular plan, pretty slow. I don't know if there's much I could do about that. I do have unlimited data, so I can sit there as long as I want, but it does get a little slow. Alright, so right here over Pinto, let's see what we got. We got some real high DVZs right there, over 70, and that's over 20,000 feet. So the being that close to the radar, I don't know if we're picking up this radar. Let's see where we're at here. We're all the way to the west. To the east, we're over San Antonio, so this is let's go down to a lower level. Then we can do a cross section now, and that's got that storm a little bit elevated too. So let's do a scan on that. Not that scan. That still has that pretty elevated, but even though it's cutting that storm off in the bottom, the lower levels, we're still pushing almost to 50,000 feet with over 50 dBz. So that thing's pretty significant there too. Definitely rates the severe warning. Alright, so we got one over Oklahoma. And that one's showing 0.69 inches of hail. Pretty significant storm. Do a cross section on it. We're pushing some high reflectivity in the upper level, so they do rate the severe warning. Let's go do a volume scan. And we're cranking pretty good, well over 20,000 feet with 50 dBz reflectivity. So we're doing real good on that one too, just for a small cell like that. So if we pull up base velocity, you know, it's all green, so we don't really have any rotation at the lower levels there. We can also pull that up to the upper levels. So nothing there either. I mean, you start getting a little bit of red, but once you get into those upper angles of the radar, you can start getting some false information too. So just some kind of more scattered than anything. So if we have any rotation, it's well in the upper levels. Not going to be any threat to reaching the surface and creating a tornado on the surface. So wouldn't be real concerned about that one. Alright, so we got the 850 millibar chart. Let's get over here. Significant moisture all the way through Texas. We got moisture actually all the way down into southern Texas. And then with that low level jet, I mean, you're looking at pretty good, pretty significant storms right there as that stuff pops up. So you definitely got that low level jet, and you have the mid-level wind shear, low-level wind shear that you need for that to start that rotation. So I mean, we already got winds out of the north over western Texas, and then right around Dallas, Fort Worth, out of the south, 50 knots. So I mean, that's a pretty good rotation right there. So we're going to take another level up. We'll go up to the 700. Like I said, Amelia, Batavia area, nothing to talk about. Cloudy skies. Pretty much unlimited visibility now. Low ceilings, but nothing real significant out there. So now we still got significant moisture up at the 700 millibar level, which is right around 10,000 feet. And our low pressure system, not quite closed off, but we got pretty much a shortwave trough pushing a little bit to the west, stacking back to the west from that surface low. Looks like winds out of the northeast and then shifting to the southwest. So a little bit of thermal advection in these areas just to the north over Oklahoma, northern over the panhandle of Texas, but nothing real significant. Just we do have moisture in the upper levels, so you're still stacking back with the trough, and you have a unstable environment all the way to 10,000 feet so far. So you do have the instability you needed for those storms to continue. And then you got a little bit of ridging over Missouri, up to about 40-45 knot winds over Illinois. And just very weak thermal advection all along that area. Pretty much these isotherms are going parallel to the contour, so really not a real major significance on the thermal advection there. A little bit over Texas with the warm air, winds out of the southwest and pushing that warm air to the north, so right up into Oklahoma, northern Texas, Oklahoma. So that's where your significant thermal advection is. So causing any support for any upper level instability would be right in that area. And then we'll hit the 500 and then probably call this video quits. We'll just do we'll show the 500 real quick, and then maybe the vorticity chart, see where we have any upper level divergence indicated by positive vorticity, and then we'll just go from there. Alright, still significant moisture, 500 millibars. It's just under 20,000 feet. It's about 18,000 feet, so still got significant moisture all the way up over Texas, Oklahoma, pretty much throughout the whole central and eastern United States. So, and you're getting up to about a 50 knot wind up in those layers. So we're pushing pretty much the winds out of the southwest with the jet stream. So when the jet stream coming down out of the northwest, and then showing a closed low pressure system over just near the four corners. So it might be like an upper level low is maybe a cutoff low. This jet stream coming down You see the winds out of the north, and then rotating out of the south, right around that low. So that low pretty much is a cutoff low developing with that jet stream. So that jet stream comes from the north, wraps around, tries to shift to the north, and then it can't make that turn. It takes too much energy, so it just kind of overshoots that and then cuts off that low and leaves that trough sitting there, and leaves that low pressure just sitting there, and then it'll pretty much just sit right over the four corners for a few days until it fills in and then just dissipates. But get that cutoff low, and then if you get any moisture associated with that, you can get little short waves move around that cutoff low and just cause some rain showers on and off for a few days until that low pressure finally fills in and goes away. But one other thing that could happen is if you get a shortwave trough from the west that moves in, it comes in and then kicks that low pressure system off, and then that low pressure system can start actually rotating, get jet support, and then push off to the northeast, and then continue to develop as another low pressure system and actually deepen and come closer to the surface and cause significant weather all through the Midwest. So that doesn't happen a lot. I mean, like, you got this high pressure system, that semi-permanent high pressure off the west coast. So that kind of blocks anything from coming through, any major short waves from coming through and kicking that off. But every once in a while you can get if that high pressure system moves to the north and you get a major short wave come in from the south and kick that low, or if that high pressure drops to the south, and you can get a major short wave push through and kick that low out of there. So it does happen. It's something to watch for from the west when you see those cutoff lows like that. So if we go up to the 300, we should see probably a more developed low pressure system if this is actually a cutoff low. Get up to that the jet stream level. But like I said, we'll pull the vorticity real quick, and then we'll maybe go up to the 300. I was going to end it at 500 until I seen that, so we'll just keep on going for a minute. We do have upper level divergence indicated by positive vorticity advection over Kansas, and then southern New Mexico and western Texas. So let me get the vorticity readings on here, and then you'll be able to see with the contours, the 500 millibar contours. There's that low, and then if you have any advection, I wouldn't even really call this much significant advection right here. For a vorticity advection, I would say more up in this area over Kansas. That would be more positive vorticity right there. And then up here to the north where this is showing, that's pretty weak too. You might have a little bit of advection right there for positive vorticity, but over that Great Lakes region, but nothing significant there. So Kansas would be pretty much the best bet for upper level divergence once you get into these upper levels. So that's what the low pressure system needs, is an upper level divergence to help develop that low even better. All right, one more thing. Let's go to the 300, and we'll just run to build this separate. Let's do a wind shading to show us the outline of the jet stream. Now you got the jet figured down. You can see that it looks like out of the north, wrap it around, and then coming out of the south west all the way through the United States. So pretty much at 300 millibars, you have significant winds over most of the United States at this level. From the pressure, the constant heights. Now you can see that low pressure system is developed over that four corners, and that is definitely looks like a cutoff low. Throw the isotherms on here just to get a better look at any thermal advection. So we got some weak thermal advection through right there through Kansas too. So that's with that weak thermal advection and then the upper level divergence, the positive vorticity advection. You know, Kansas is a pretty good candidate for some weather going moving through that area. And then let's throw our station plots on here. Alright, so like I said, you can see the winds out of the north. You go up to 115 knots. Could be up to really 117 knots right there out of the north, and then shifting to 40 knots out of the southwest, and then it's about to 130 knots. So following that jet finger up. So like I said, definitely looks like a cutoff low. It's developing. It really hasn't cut off just yet. So winds aren't just overshooting. These winds will come down and just overshoot right here, and then you'll get a long wave trough right along that area, and you'll have that jet finger, and then this will just leave a jet max right around that low, just kind of hanging out right there. So pretty well developed into the start of that cutoff low, but not quite there yet, but it's definitely getting there. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the video. We got like I said, some pretty weak storms came through. Some heavy rain came through southwest Ohio. Let's get back to the radar real quick. Alright, here's with the GPS, and let's go look at this real quick. Download that loop. Come on. Alright, there's our base velocity. What's we got going on here? Flood showing Grant, Kentucky, 3 miles southeast Williamstown. It's about an hour south of me. And emergency manager showing water over Cynthiana Road. Get back to base reflectivity. Do a composite reflectivity. We can see pretty much every level of the radar all at once. And like I said, here's my GPS right there, and we are pretty much everything's moved out. So West Union got some pretty good rain. They had some pretty good cells moving through that area, and pretty much hasn't stopped. So they've been pretty much pouring over there for the last couple hours. So some cells popping up south of Grayson. And I'm not going to download anymore. We're just it's just where we are right now. Everything's pushed out of our area. If you can see on the there's the video. You can actually see some different cloud layers out there now. Some stratus fractus actually hanging around, and some people call it scud or whatever. You know, clouds just starts breaking up in the lower levels a little bit, and so that stuff's kind of just pushing through a little bit. So that gives that little bit of texture on that video. So I know the camera doesn't do real great in that light, so we didn't pick up any lightning. Everything of that pretty much stayed to the southwest of us, and before it reached us, pretty much died out, and we didn't hit any hail makers or any significant cells in our area, at least. So I'm gonna pretty much end that there, and I want to say thanks for watching this live stream, and stay tuned. May keep up on maybe some more chart analysis. I do want to go through some basic short videos. Try to keep some stuff pretty simple, short, and do like just some definitions, weather terminology. Start covering some of that, and get people familiar with what I'm talking about. Advection, vorticity, different weather, just terminology for people to understand. So, alright, thanks again for watching. Visit my website if you want to read up on some pretty in-depth weather details for analysis, convective weather analysis, stuff like that, severe weather. Meteorology101.com, and subscribe to the channel, share, help me build this channel, and we'll keep the videos coming.